Live. Welcome to Z School session 20.2. Today we're going to talk about the basics of CRM, essentially the modules of CRM, and a little presentation here. So a module is like a data object. It's a thing, and it could be a person, it could be a sale, it could be a company, it could be a piece of equipment. Every one of these objects has fields to it. So if it's a person, it has a name, it has a phone number, an address, a birthday, a social security number possibly. Be careful with that. So you have these modules, and Zoho comes with about 20 of them, depending on the version of Zoho you have. There could be 30 or more, plus you can build your own, up to 50 on top. That could be a very complicated system. These modules have relationships. In other words, a company can have an employee. So I know a person, he works at this company. Those could be two different things, but there's a relationship, a connection. That company could have 500 employees. That company could own a piece of your equipment, and that equipment could have some data to it. So I have a thing here in the fourth line. You can rename contacts to patients, or if you're in real estate, you might want to have a module of just properties, houses for sale. And again, there's fields in there about how many bedrooms, how many square feet, when it was built, school system. So modules are the basic building block of a CRM system, and the modules you decide to use or the ones you decide to create are really based on your business, the kind of things you want to keep track of. Having said that, Zoho comes with these 20 to 30 modules. There's 4 that I view as very core to most people. And the big 4 are leads, contacts, accounts, and then they have one where you keep track of all your future sales. The official name in Zoho is potentials. That's just what they call it in the back end and the code. You can rename these anything you want. So you can call them opportunities, which is what ACT called them. You can call them deals. I see now the newer versions of Zoho that come out, the term that kind of defaults is deals. You can call them whatever you want, sales. The same with the word contacts. If you don't like it, you could change it to, if you're in the medical field, you might want to change it to the word patients. But I would kind of advise you against it. Zoho calls them in their code leads, contacts, accounts. As you use other Zoho products, they're going to probably refer to those modules that way, and you can get confused if you call them something else. So we're going to talk about these big 4 and how they work, especially most people who attend our school. Some of them come from ACT, and ACT did not use leads. ACT did not bring in companies into their product until about 12 years ago, and a lot of people never even turned that feature on. So when you're coming from a system like ACT or Goldmine, 2 we sold in the past, these modules can be a little different, kind of disorienting. The first module is called leads. I'm just going to kind of run through them, then we're going to go to a live system. We're actually going to use them and show you how people progress. And a lead is a person. However, it's a person you may not know very well. And so it'll have fields in it like name, phone, email, that, a title, company. In a Zoho model, leads are people you don't know much about. Say someone hit a form on your website. They're not going to give up a lot of information about themselves. They might just use an initial. They may not give you their birth date or their address. These could be names that you buy a list of. You just get the basics. And you don't know if they're even a good business fit for you, and you don't know if they're even still in business, or they could be people you just haven't talked to very much. So you bring them in as leads, and one of the benefits of that is that leads could be maybe for the marketing people to work into newsletter, and maybe you qualify them over the phone. Again, it depends on your business model, but the idea is that you ultimately want to convert them into a contact, and the contact is another person, but it's a contact is linked to a company, or can be, and you can have a lot more fields in contact if you want, because now you know them better, and there's an ongoing relationship or a soon-to-be relationship, whereas leads are just people you may have never talked to. And I see that a lot in, in our ACT and Goldmine business, and being in CRM for 25 years. I've seen some small companies with 50,000 people in the database, and most of them have never been talked to. There's no phone calls logged, no meetings logged. They just got in there somehow. You kind of want to separate kind of your good people from, I don't want to say your bad people, but people you don't know or don't work with. So leads is where names start out. And then the goal is to turn them into contacts, move them kind of up the ladder. So contacts are usually connected to an account, and an account is a company. And again, a company, you might have fields like number of employees, tax ID, SIC code. A company has company type data. People have titles and email addresses and departments and things like that. So you're kind of separating out the difference between a company and a contact, but you can link the two together. The other thing is that the deals module we're going to talk about in a minute can be attached to contacts and accounts, but not leads. In other words, if you want to attach a deal to a lead, you're going to have to convert them into a contact first. And the idea is that contacts are people you've actually talked to and worked with and understand a little better. And so now we have accounts, and accounts are, in ACT they were called companies when ACT introduced that module. Goldmine never did. And I know some people don't like the word accounts because it implies the sale was already made, and it may not. But an account is a company, and when I get into Zoho, we'll show you all that. And an account can also belong to another account. So you might have a company that's owned by another company, and that company could be owned by another company. So you can actually set up kind of a hierarchical tree of companies and their relationships. And, accounts have, like I said, fields like number of employees or stock ticker symbol or something. You wouldn't put that in a contact record, but it might go in an account record. And then finally, we have deals or potentials. Again, I use the word potentials because that's the name of the module that Zoho calls it in the back end. And this is where we put in a forecasted sale. And so, there's common fields for that. When is it going to close? How much? How big is it? Who's the customer? What are we selling them? Generally, when you know that, it's time to put a deal in the system. There's also a stage field that you're going to want to customize a lot. And those are the milestones of a sale. Has a quote been done? Did you send them a sample? Are you in negotiation? Where are you in the process? And so all this information drives your pipeline and forecast and sales funnel reports. And again, these deals are attached to contacts and accounts. So I just drew this little graph down here. This is kind of the process. A lead will get converted into a contact, but it may also, if it's a new company that you don't know about, it will also create an account. So one lead, when you convert it, could turn into a contact and an account, but then there'll be a link between the two, a relationship saying this contact is at this account. And then you can add a deal. You can actually add a deal to an account. I prefer that you always add a deal to a contact. You're going to want someone to talk to about that deal. Just because you have a deal with General Motors doesn't really help a lot. You're going to want to connect it to some people so that you understand the relationship. So these modules are almost universally used by everybody. If we get time today, I'll show you some of the other modules. Then you can turn them off to kind of simplify your screen. And so now I think we'll go to a demo. This is my demo system. And I got a little panel here that says today's leads, there are none. So I'll go to leads. That just means we didn't create any today. We've got some sample data in here, but I will actually create a lead. Now, before you create a lead, you should always look to make sure they're not already a lead or a contact in the system. And so just to keep my Simpsons example alive, I'm going to put in, I'm going to look for Homer. I'll look for people named Homer, and there are none. So I feel pretty safe that I can add him. He doesn't appear to exist in the system. So I'm in the leads module. I can hit this little plus here, and that will create a lead. I can also hit the plus up here and create anything. I can create a deal, an account, a contact, plus all these other modules I haven't mentioned yet. But so I can create a lead from here too. It gets you to the same place. So here's a new lead. Next week, we're going to talk about how to customize the screen and how to set up your rules and track the things you want. This system is pretty much out of the box, Zoho. They have some fields in here like their Twitter handle and their Skype ID. To be honest with you, very few of my clients get that information, but I would most of them take it out. But if there's some piece of information that you want, you can add it here. So I'm going to put in Homer, which, by the way, is my username. Zoho likes to do everything first name, last name split out, and so Homer works at the Springfield nuclear plant. These red fields are required. You can't create a lead without having that in there. By the way, if I type in, let me just open up another window here. If I were to type in the name of an existing account, let me close out of here and go to accounts. I want to get the name of an existing account. Here's an account called King. Let's just say I met someone and I start typing in their company. What Zoho just did is it's looking in accounts to see if that account exists. And if it does, you can click on that. That way it'll keep you from creating maybe a second account down the road. I typed in SPR and there's nothing. It didn't find anything, so it's just going to let me put this in. I can add some other fields here if I want, address fields down here. This is a pretty simple form, right? I'll put his email on here. I don't have to, it's not required, but, and I hit save, and I've just created a lead. And there's my lead. So the one thing you see here now is there's a green convert button here. So I can leave Homer as a lead. I can attach files to him. I can put in notes. I can record activities, send him emails, send him email campaigns. I can work him like a normal contact. The one thing I cannot do, you'll see over here, is it does not say deals. I can't add a deal to a lead. So pretend I've done all the sales work and I've gotten him to a point where I want to either add a deal to him or I've qualified him. When you convert a lead is kind of up to you. In fact, you could not use leads at all and say, I'm going to just put all my people in contacts. But when you start having things in your system, like I have a lot of web forms, people can sign up for my Z-School, they can ask for a quote, and I get a lot of spam, a lot of, people want to sell me lists and that kind of stuff. These are all channels that people can actually add themselves to my system. Well, I don't want them to go into contacts. I want them to go into leads. I want to look at them first. And so I do recommend you use leads. Once you get them to some point where you're comfortable with them, you can convert them. And so I'm going to hit the green convert button. And a bunch of things just happened here. I want to explain them. The first one is it's going to create a new account, Springfield Nuclear Plant. Had I left that King in there, in fact, I'll cancel this. I'll go back to Homer. I'll edit Homer. And let me just put King in here. Zoho says, there's an account called King. Maybe you want to use that, so I'll use it. He's still a lead. He's not connected to the account at all. But when I convert him now, it says, hey, you already have company called King in the database. And so I've got a choice. I can add Homer to this existing King company. I can actually view it to see if, what is it. Or I can create a new account. And that, because it could be a second company with the same name. Say it's a Walmart, but it's a different store. Or I was working with a client yesterday that sells to hospitals, and there's a lot of hospitals called Baptist Hospital or St. Joe's Hospital. So they can have 10 hospitals. They're different, but they all have the same name. So I just wanted to show that Zoho, when you convert a lead, it will try its best to keep you from creating duplicate companies. And it will also look at Homer's email address, not his name, but his email address, and it will look to see if he might already be a contact. And if he is already there, it'll ask you if you want to just convert him into the existing contact or if you want to create a second Homer, because maybe he's a different person. So there's a lot of checking going on in the background. I can also, now because he's a contact, let me cancel this and put Springfield Nuclear Plant back in there. I don't want to confuse myself. Okay, so once again, we convert. Zoho quickly checked to see if Springfield's in the system. It's not. And it checked to see if Homer's email address is in the system, and it's not. So it's going to create a new contact, new account. I could create a deal right here, but I'm not going to yet. And I'm going to convert. So if I go back to leads now, you will see that Homer is gone from here. He's no longer a lead. If I go to my contacts, there's Homer. And if I click on Homer, this is Homer, the contact. You can see the contacts here is a little white area. And now he's got contact information, a little bit more. But again, this is a totally different module. I can have many other fields in here. Because now he's a contact, I might require that I need to know his budget or something like that. But Homer is also connected to this Springfield nuclear plant. I'll click on this, and now it takes me over to accounts. And here's the account. There's a little picture of a building. I can put their company logo up here. And you'll see that accounts currently out of the box has fields like SIC code, who owns the company, what their stock symbol is, that what their annual revenue is, what industry they're in. So again, we're tracking data about the company. Don't want to put that in Homer's record. We want to, if we knew 10 people at this company, I wouldn't want to have to put it in all 10 people's records because it's redundant. So there's other fields in here, like there's a parent account. So I could take the Springfield Nuclear Power Plant and I could say it's a subsidiary of the King Company. We'll do that. I could actually click on King now and go to King. There's King. And way down here on the side, it says member accounts. These are all their subsidiaries, and there's the Springfield plant. So going back to, first I want to go back to the chat room, make sure nobody has any questions. So let me just do that. Oh, we do. Greetings, Jeff. Monitor looks good. Can you update parent companies if one account purchases another account? How do you handle that? How do you connect several contacts to a deal? Those are all excellent questions, AJ. We're going to get to them. Can you update parent companies? I'm not sure I know. You might want to explain that a little bit. Just answered the parent question. Okay. So one of the things is, what I thought you were getting at, AJ, was say I changed the address on the company. Could I push it down to all the people that work there? Say the company moves. You could. You'd have to write a little bit of code to do it. There's this scripting language behind Zoho. We could write it in 10 minutes. But you don't always want to do that. For instance, at 12.3 here, Steven is in Syracuse. He's got an office on Washington Street. So just if I move 12-3, I wouldn't want his record to be updated. So it's not something you can turn on or off. It's a rule, a workflow rule we could write. And yeah, so you can do branch location same way. Maybe I'll do that when we add on here. So let's see, how do you connect several contacts to a deal? I'm going to get to that question. So we're going to do deals next. And let me just go back to deals. So, all right, we will go here. So now I'll go to Springfield Nuclear Power Plant. Now I have a guy here named Homer. I'll click on Homer. I'm on Homer's record. If I scroll way down here, you know, the long way, there's no deals, but I could add one by clicking new deal. It's easier to get to any one of these related lists. You know, like if I wanted to see his campaign, just click on it and it'll zoom you down there. If I want to see his deals, you click here and it goes there. I can also hit this little plus. So I can add a deal by clicking new deal or just coming over here and hitting the plus. And if I do it from Homer's record, it will pre-populate the company and the contact. Now again, the deal module can be highly customized. There might be 10 more pieces of information you want here. And quite often what I do for people, what people ask me to do is, you know, they want to see like a bid due date. They want to see you know, who the estimating engineer is. There might be a lot of other information about this deal, but our system is kind of simple and out of the box. So I will say uranium fuel for Springfield. That's just the name of the deal. The deal owner is me. I'm the salesman on it. This is a list of all our users. The account name is here. Type is a non-mandatory field. It comes with Zoho. It just says new or existing business. If you sell multiple product lines, you might want to have a drop box in here to say this is for, you know, this product line. I like to track my Zoho deals separate from my ACT deals, so that's how I do that. Lead source is how you learned about it. There's an amount field here, which if you've quoted it, you know pretty close to what it is. But if you're in the early stages, you might have to ballpark it. Say $34,000, and then there's an anticipated closing date as to when the deal might come in, say March 20th, and then the stage here. Now the stage is going to reflect your selling process and your milestones. The one that comes with ACT is a little vague, but I'll say that we're in the needs analysis stage, which is we're just trying to figure out how much they need to get and what product is the right product for them. And because I'm in that stage, it defaulted to 20%. I'll show you how to set up what's called the stage probability layout. You'll see as I move this thing to like price quote, now we're at the 75%. I guess that means we win 75% of our quotes. So this deal now is worth 75% of the amount, which I don't like the expected revenue. If you have hundreds of deals out there, things will tend to average out. But you're either going to get $34,000 or you're not. You're not getting 25. You know, you either win it or lose it. I'll put this back to needs analysis for now. So it's a 20% probability. So this tells me who, it tells me when, it tells me how much. It doesn't really tell me product, but I could have put a product field in here, and I'll save it. And so this deal is attached to Homer's record. It's right here, and he can have more deals. Maybe you've got 3 quotes open with him. Also, if I go to Springfield, I see that, you know, these are my contacts. I only have 1, but I have Homer over. I have this deal here, and there could be 3 deals, maybe 1 with Homer and 1 with Carl. So everything rolls up to the company level, and I can come down here and see all the deals. And of course, you'll see your old deals too, your dead ones that we've quoted them 3 times in the past and we never win, kind of thing. Okay, so AJ had a question. How do you attach this deal to multiple people? Go to the deal, And, oh, we've got an approval rule in here. Won't talk about that yet. So here's the deal, and there's a little summary view at the top, and then it tells you the people on it, and there's just one. Oh, and I must have put a rule in here, sorry. We've got a lot of workflow in the background. This is a demo system, so we play, but because it's very large, someone needs to approve it. They need to look at it. That's a task got automatically set up. Normally that doesn't happen. If I scroll down here though, AJ, there's a section called contact roles. Not a good name, but it shows me that Homer is on this. I can add contact roles over here, and it's looking for other people at the Springfield power plant, and I don't have any. You know what I'm going to do? Let me take a step back here. I'm going to go to the Springfield nuclear plant. We have one contact here, Homer. I'm going to hit the little plus and add a second contact. So there's Waylon Smithers, and I'll say he's in purchasing. And again, he can have an email and an address and a Skype ID, but he's another contact. I just added another contact to the system. So now when you look at Springfield Power Plant, we know two people there. It says contacts two. So I'm building an organization. If I go back to this deal, and I go down to contact roles, I only have one person on the deal by default. That's Homer, the guy I created it under. But I can hit add contact roles, and what it's doing now is it's showing me all the other people that work here at Springfield Nuclear Plant. I could add Wayland to it. We'll probably have to customize this list, but let's say he's in purchasing, and I save him. And now I've got two people on this deal. And if I go to Wayland's record, I'll go to it, and you can see under his record, he's got it. He's on a deal too. So, but another thing I can do is under contract roles. Let me say there's a bank involved, and I want to add the bank. They don't work there, so I have no more contacts at the nuclear plant. But I can go to more contacts here, and I can look up anybody. I just look up all contacts, and I'll say James Veneer is, again, I don't know if I like this list. I'll say he's the engineer on it. But he works for a different company, so it's okay. I can add as many people to this deal as I want to. A deal can actually have no contacts. I don't think it's advisable to do that because you won't have anybody to talk to, but sometimes you hear about a building going up and you're in construction and you just want to identify the deal, just so you can start sending someone after it, find out who the contractors are. But normally a deal has one person, one company. It can have 100 people on it though. If you're selling stadiums to a city, you might have a lot of people involved. And so the contact roles tells you who's involved and what their role is. I hope that answers your question. I'm going to go look at chat and see if it did. Thanks. Okay. Deals, contacts from multiple accounts, like a rep, a contractor, and distributor. Okay, yeah, so you can add a rep, a contractor, or distributor. So that's, I'm going to go back to so what we did was we took a lead and we converted it into a contact and an account, and then there's a relationship automatically implied that that contact is part of that account. And then we added a deal to the contact, but again, implied was that it's connected to the account as well. And then what we did, an advanced AJ question, was we took the deal and we added it to multiple contacts, one at the account and one at a totally different account, and you can do that. So this is just the 4 modules, but it's possible that you'll have other modules. We'll look now at CRM and some of the modules that come with it, and then I'll show you how to add a custom one. So you have to be an administrator to go here, but you go up to this little wrench, and then under customization, the first entry is modules and fields. And there'll be a list of all your modules. Now here's our big four right at the top. But then we have other stuff in here like sales orders and purchase orders. And you may not use those because you probably already have a sales order, purchase order system. CRM was first designed to be kind of self-contained, but most people have an accounting system for that. You know, there's also a thing down here called cases, and a case is like a customer's tech support issue or something. And a case can have solutions. If you're on Zoho One, like most people are, we highly recommend you use Zoho Desk instead. So you might want to turn cases and solutions off because Zoho Desk is a better system for that kind of work. And if you're using Zoho Books or you're using another accounting system, you might want to take your invoices and campaigns, invoices, purchase orders, and sales orders and quotes, and not do them in CRM, but do them in a different Zoho product or a different product altogether. So what you can do in this list of modules is there's a button over here called Organize Modules. And you can just turn off the modules you're never going to use. If I come down here to Cases and Solutions, they can be turned back on, by the way. They just drop to the bottom of the list and you can turn them on later. If you're not going to use social media, which you should look at it, but you can turn it off. I'm going to turn off sales orders and purchase orders. I probably will never teach those modules just because I vastly prefer the Zoho Finance Suite. Unless people want to see it. So I hit save and those modules come off this list. They also come off the long row of tabs and then the three dots. This list did get smaller. It may not look like it, but you can just cut down CRM to just track the things you want. You see cases and solutions are gone now. And so that's one way to get rid of some of the standard modules that come with Zoho. And again, we're on Zoho Enterprise. You may not have, if you're on Zoho Standard Edition, which very few people are, or Pro, you may not have all these modules. Most people have Enterprise because that's what comes with Zoho One. It's their daddy. Now, if you have Enterprise, you're also allowed to create your own module. And we'll talk about this more next week, but I can create a module here called properties. If I'm a realtor, I want to have a module of all my houses for sale. And then I put in the fields of, what I want to track. If I'm selling, like, I was talking to a guy this morning, he sells $100,000, $250,000 machines, and they want to track the serial number, the version, the warranty date, and they want to know who owns it. So they want to attach that machine to Homer at Springfield. That way they can get a list of we want to email everybody who owns this kind of machine. Well, that information is in the system now, so we'll actually build a machine module. You just create it here. Any module you do create, there are none, will have a little green star on it. Those are custom modules. You can have 50. So you can build a very complex kind of module schema through the system. And today I just wanted to talk about the four. I believe these four are, whether you use Act or Goldmine or Salesforce or Microsoft or anything, you're going to probably deal with these four in some level. And almost all businesses have these in common. After that, it becomes unique to the business. Okay. So that's an explanation here. I'll take some more questions. Actually, I'll probably stop recording and we will open up Q&A. Next week, we're going to talk about how to actually go in here and customize the deals module to do exactly what you want. If there's a field in there, you sell product lines, you want to have a drop box of the product line that you're selling to Homer, then you would do that here. So it's another half hour, too much to do today. We'll take it on next week. So let me go back to here and thank you for listening. Stay tuned next week when we show you how to customize these modules.